Welcome back to another episode of the Mojo Diaries, a podcast about people who at some point in life had to pause, reset, and rediscover what truly matters. Today's guest is someone I've known for 25 years, Badri Narayan Krishnan, founder of nonprofit organizations, NGO, advisor, mentor, and author. He's had a successful career in the IT industry and across US and in India, worked with organizations such as Siemens, Satyam, and other global companies. But what makes his journey fascinating is what came after. From a corporate life to civic engagement, social causes, writing books on the Puranas, and even theater, his journey has been one of constant reinvention and purpose. Badri, welcome to the Mojo Diaries.
Hello, Ram. Wonderful to be with you. And I'm so happy that you're doing this wonderful podcast.
Wonderful. Hope we can all learn something, from such a wonderful, colorful career that you've had. So let's dive in and to the, you're kind of the younger Badri. If I may to meet this younger Badri, say about 35 years ago, what kind of person would I have met? What would have been, his inspirations or his goals, or what were some of the things as you were just about finishing your college?
Wow. It's fun to go back 25, 30 years. I guess I grew up with family as a very important influence, and family was all over, all around. I guess we went on holidays with families. When we visited somebody, it was very often families or very close colleagues or things like that. So that small circle had a very strong influence. My mother, I absolutely worship my mother, so absolutely did everything she wanted. And I know you're a big cricket fan, right? You may not know this, but I was a cricket fan too, but a little bit of
Wow.
a selfish kind of fan. I enjoyed cricket as long as I was playing it, right?
Okay.
Obviously, it was gully cricket with any stick that would go for a wicket or a bat. So I loved reading. I guess those are some of the thoughts that come to my mind when I think of a younger Badri.
Wonderful. So, I guess full of hope, passion, energy to do something. And I think those thoughts were just coming up, I think. And just like any hardcore, sports fan in India, cricket did play a big part at that point. Let's just dwell into your corporate life, right? You had a very successful corporate journey across India and the US. At that stage of life, what did success mean to you?
I think life has been kind. Just those influences, those early influences I spoke about, from the close family, be it my parents or close circles, they came in handy in my career. I can I can kind of probably sum up uh, my career approach by kind of recounting what I shared with my daughter when she started her first job about 4 years ago. Right, I told her whatever the salary, whatever the challenges that your bosses place, even if the organization looks unfair, whatever, right? We will have complaints. But remember, we are drawing an X amount of salary. Make sure you earn every pie of that salary, right? I guess, I may not have been as clear and articulate when I was younger, but I think as a culture, I had kind of imbibed it. So I guess that helped, do a good job, people to make bosses happy around us. If you did work your head off, bosses would be happy. I started in a factory, let's say the pre-IT era kind of thing. I started in a factory in the middle of people, working with people. So that was great. And Bangalore being as cosmopolitan as it is, right? Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Hindi, or more the Urdu Hindi, they were always all there in that mix of things. So this my job started among all these people. It was fun. Then I had a big dream, which again I'd like to credit it to somebody else, right? One of my cousins went to XLRI to do his MBA, right? And I had been inspired. He was already some kind of a young 25-year-old country manager of Dubai or something like that for a multinational bank. So, I said, wow, that sounds fun. And I went on to do my MBA. And after that, too, work has been fun. It's been fun from accolades and money and title and position perspective. Yes, all the titles fell in and all that stuff. I think we are all privileged to have gone through a lot of change, right? A changing India, markets opened up. If you'll remember, Ram, it was in the 90s, Rajiv Gandhi era that the license Raj went away. You didn't have to wait 10 years to book and buy a scooter. You didn't have to wait 3 years to get a refrigerator after booking for it, etc. So, I guess my management career was in its own way, in a small way, helped Indian business manage this change and all that. So it was, when I say it was fun, it was really fun, I think, from a satisfaction perspective.
Wonderful. I think one thing that you said was whatever you're earning, make sure you earn it, right? Fully, whatever salary you're drawing. That's a pretty powerful clarity at that point. So post, after having worked in such wonderful companies, at some point you're, started moving in a different direction, and there was a shift, social causes, civic work, writing, theater, you know. Was there a singular moment that you said, hey, enough of corporate life, or this was a slow evolution, or how did this pivot happen?
I guess to some extent, this eagerness to give back and to be engaged with larger society, etc., was always there. Because, like I said, right, I grew up in an environment where I knew the family stories very well. I realized people, all the people that were around me had benefited by the through the kindness and support of other people, right? Even within the family, right? So there was an eagerness to not even give back. I think give back is a big word. Is to really participate in that
Mm.
immediate society that we are involved in, right? Which means give, take, help, suggest, counsel, all of that stuff. And an interesting dimension was also added by somebody that we mutually know. You know him, Satish. He had a vision uh, of building a small safety net in terms of financials, and then going on to pursue his dreams and passions around religion, philosophy, etc. I kind of borrowed his idea too. So that those were the two, I think, influences. It's fun when I look back. I've been a lifelong volunteer trying to do
Mm.
something around society as I knew it. Right. I very fondly remember my first formal volunteering with a non-profit for a social cause was volunteering with a group that was offering a safe house uh, or a drop-in center for homeless young people in the Majestic or the Bangalore railway station area. Very interesting challenges that people faced, etc., that I was able to see. So I've been a lifelong volunteer. I volunteered for a church in the US. I tended their garden. I volunteered with a hospital where I was like a formal complaints manager outside hospital structure so that I could be an unbiased complaints manager. I've volunteered with a variety of organizations, and of late, it's been a little more of a full-time engagement.
We'll
So
we'll come to that a little bit, but I think if I were to rephrase it, like, this bug to do social work has always been there with you, and much more than that is, you had no problems going out of your comfort zone. Like, if your corporate life was something you could do very well, but you had no problem stepping out of the comfort zone and just volunteering. See, a lot of people sit there and they dream about doing something, but they're not able to go out of the comfort zone, which kind of goes to my next question. When you work closely with, society and real people outside corporate life, what changes in the way you see the world? Do ordinary people underestimate the impact they can actually have? It's a completely different environment, right? If it's in a corporate life, everybody's trying to climb up the ladder, common goal. But when it's social and civic, it's a little bit, those things are a little out of the window. It's there. There is no clear hierarchy. You have to put away your egos. Some people, that's why, don't want to get out of that. What has been your kind of thoughts on that?
I think you kind of like hit the nail on the head, right? We kind of underestimate how much each one of us, even the humblest person, how much we can contribute. Because most of us, and I'm sure, we've had challenging times in our lives, and all we wanted was probably somebody who'd just sit next to us and just kind of smile at us, or kind of hold a hand kind of thing. I think that's probably the biggest help that we can all do. Just being there for somebody, whether it's family, a friend, or even for a stranger. So what you realize is that we have value outside of our smartness, our corporate positions and power, and ability to handle graphs and complex maths and stuff like that. So there's a life that's outside, and it's very fulfilling. And there's a huge need for huge need for that, right? Like I said, that first volunteering task. I mean, I didn't
Mm.
even know there was a world that was so brutal, so cruel, right? These were kids that ran away from home for small things, right? They probably failed an English exam in their 10th, or did some stupid mischief. Or I remember one story that somebody shared. He was, just playfully throwing a stone at one of his classmates, and it went and hit his, guess what? Terror, Mr. Terror, PT Master.
Oh.
And this guy ran away from his village, took whatever bus he got, went to wherever he was, and he ended up in Bangalore on the streets and stuff like that. So there's a lot that we can do, and it's important to just go out there and make yourself available. And
Mm.
you beautifully touched upon some of the challenges, right? When you're 21 and you're available, people are like, this kid, what do I do with him? I don't know what to do with him, right? So that's one. When you're 45 and you go there, then people are like, this is a senior looking fellow. What do I do with him? He seems to, he seems to be
Old
accomplished.
fashioned.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
seems to be old fashioned. He seems to be accomplished in his own way. So what can I give him, kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting challenge. Recently, you must have heard about Dr. Balasubramaniam, nominated to the Planning Commission or Niti Ayog of India, right? For Bangaloreans who are listening to this, news like this doesn't travel much, right?
Hmm.
But Dr. Balasubramaniam is a Bangalorean. I'm very happy and proud that he's a Josephite. He was about 5 years my senior from St. Joseph's. He started an NGO that is path breaking. He was 19 when he was a medical student. And recently, he was nominated to the Planning Commission of India. I think great reward for the great work he's done for society. But yeah, now to come to what I was specifically trying to say, I volunteered in his organization. First, he was struggling. He was like, this guy, he's come back from the US, he's an MBA. What do I do with him? He's a brilliant man, but he was also I guess, struggling about what to do with me. Then when I called him up and pestered him, he put me on to somebody who was heading his education division in the nonprofit work. That was a young gentleman of 35 years, etc. So he was wondering, what do I do with this 50-year-old guy? And that's when something that a friend had told me a while ago kind of flashed in my mind. I offered to this young gentleman that I would just come to the office every alternate day, spend about 3 days in the 3 days a week in the office, and then we could figure out what we would do. And that led us to do some great work. This was just a little after Corona's new education policy was announced. There was more work to do. So yeah, you've touched upon a couple of key things in being available in society. People are confused about what to do with you, why you're here, what are your intentions, kind of things too. But I guess there's a need and there's joy in making yourself available, I guess.
Interesting. And I guess everybody can do something, in their own way.
Can I bug you with one one favorite thing I have there? Yeah. There is something called the Shad Dharmas, right? When you said everybody can do something, right? However humble you think you are, right? This goes back to a little bit in the Indian tradition. There's something called the Shad Dharma, right? Six dharmas. Two of the dharmas are receive or take whatever you can, right? Don't be shy of taking help and stuff like that. And helping and teaching, you have to do whatever you can. Let's say, you and I were in third grade and we only knew tables till five. Five ones are five, five twos are 10. You know, the tradition implores us to go out and teach that to somebody. Don't wait till you become a mathematics expert. If that's all you know, still go and teach it to somebody. So I think that's like a traditional stamp of approval on just going out and doing your little bit, however little you think it is. There's value for it.
Wonderful. So, well, you brought that point. That's a wonderful segue to the next point that you do. Another very interesting part is writing a book on Puranas. Um, I want to know how did that all come about, and also what do you think these ancient stories teach us about modern life today?
I'll answer your second question and use that to talk about. You know, in our careers, we've met a variety of people, wonderful people, etc. Right? There was a gentleman who was extremely successful throughout his life. Right? I'm told he was a India rank holding CA. He got the first or second rank in his CA exam. Then he went to IIMA, so on and so forth. Right? We've had with great companies that we've been fortunate to work with, we've had the opportunity to work with such people too, right? So this man was brilliant. He had a brilliant title in our company. In the US, he had the privilege of the company providing him with a chauffeur-driven Mercedes Benz. His wife got a Mercedes Benz from the company. They gave him club memberships, etc., etc., etc. Right? But then he had a personal tragedy. Right? I won't go into what it was. There was a personal tragedy, something to do with his immediate family, and I realized he was shattered.
Hmm.
Right? His his big title, his, I'm sure, fantastic house out there in New Jersey, golf club membership, Mercedes Benz, all this didn't do zilch, right? I know he kind of like disappeared. He was like totally lost for about 4 or 5 years in his life, in his career. So using that as an example, right? It just should tell us that life has changed a lot, but it really hasn't. It's finally about us being individually with happy and comfortable with ourselves. And there's a small circle that we all live with, mother, father, maybe at some later stage, our spouses, kids, etc. So, it's still, life is really about having balance and, not having too many challenges within this small circle, right? And whatever challenges we face are very similar to what were faced thousands of years ago.
Hmm.
Today, today, just like today, like if you see some of the traditional books, a podcast like this would happen in when sages like Parashara, etc., would assemble in Dandakaranya, which today we think is somewhere in UP. They would actually have to physically assemble and do a podcast like this. Today we are able to do a podcast, with me being in Mysore and you're in Bangalore, but still we are going to be talking about the same issues, right? So that's what I found interesting about literature in general, religious literature in a little more specifically, and some of the Puranas that I dealt with, right? That the simple thing being that they address real issues of life. They bring us wisdom that's relevant today that was relevant 1,000 years ago. So that's why and also sometimes I think, it may not be easy for you to believe me when I say it actually is very similar, and life is very similar. That's because sometimes what gets prominence in the Puranas, etc., is the magical or the exotic kind of thing. The Purana that I kind of started and focused with is something called the Garuda Purana, right? The Garuda Purana is a traditional book about. It's a traditional book about many things, but what it's popular for is that the journey of the soul after death, etc. Right? Sometimes some of these things get publicity, for lack of a better word, or become popular. But then I realized it's also an amazing book of ethics and meaning of life and what is the goal of life and stuff like that, right? And you won't believe it. A friend recommended the book to me, and again, that brings me back to how we are all benefiting from our neighbors and society, right?
Associations. Yeah, very
Yes. And this was a friend who told me about this book. But then she told me, no, no, don't read it because it is traditionally recommended that it's a book of death, so thou shalt not read it. But then I found a technical excuse to read it. It's beautiful. There's a tremendous amount of wisdom on how to kind of structure your life, what goals to shoot for, etc. So
interesting. I mean, what an amazing pivot there, and also going into depth and finding correlations. And I guess these are, I mean, we have heard this name somewhere. We don't take the time to read such amazing books, and there's a lot to learn. So I thought that was fascinating, but there's another amazing, fascinating aspect of you is now you are involved in theater, and I think you have directed plays, you have acted, you've taken time to act. Um, what does acting and directing give you that the corporate world never could?
I think what are we trying to do, right? We are trying to live a full life. I think to that extent, all of us are selfish and greedy. We all want to live a full life, right? What is a full life? A full life would be all the good things, right?
Yeah.
And for thousands of years, people have tried to define what the good things are, right? A good family, a good career. Career automatically meant some amount of wealth and money and success of that nature. uh, you know, Good sites, right? You see good people, good books, literature. All this has been part of a good life. Some of us are very, in a very focused way, try to look at experiencing a little bit of the good stuff from all over, right? Which also should remind me of my attempt to sing and learn some music. I'm almost musically handicapped, so I've not been successful there.
Hmm.
But uh, plays and theater are a wonderful form of expression, of enjoying literature, etc. Again, I'll come back to my favorite thread of how we benefit from associations, right? In school, I don't know what talent he saw in me. A teacher picked me up to be an actor in a play, right? Funnily enough, I played a philosophical role there. I was Vidyaranya, the Sringeri seer of around the 15th or 13th century, I think, 13th century. I played that role. So it started with an accident, and in the last several years, when when I had an opportunity, when friends were interested. So we got together and we've been doing some fun stuff. It's a way to get together, just like the cricket parties that you host, and there's boisterous laughter and fun and shouting. This is another opportunity to do that, and it's also a way to discover literature. One of the first plays I did recently was a play by Rabindranath Tagore, and amazing thoughts amazing ideas, amazing
Mm-hmm.
philosophies that he brings. And like I've discovered accidentally, this whole thing about plays, etc., is fun because you also become suddenly recognized.
Sure.
I was amazed one day when a kid walks up to me and says, "Uncle, you were in that Gandhi play." No, I'm like, wow, I'm famous. Like
Yeah.
a first grade kid knows me. I must be famous. That's fun
May,
too.
maybe you missed something, maybe you could have become a famous actor. But here's a fun question, right? Who's more dramatic, theater actors or corporate leaders?
Oh, corporate leaders, no doubt about it. The stories that we have to spin in our corporate lives, and then some of us take it a little too seriously, and they keep and then they take it too far, and they start believing in some of the stories that they spin, etc. So, good question, man. I mean, good way to relate, theater to what we do for a living. That should remind us of exactly what you're saying. Goes to a proverb, Udara nimittam bahukruta vesham. For udara is stomach, for
Uh-huh.
stomach, which is for earning and for corporate life. You
You have
put
to
on
do.
many acts, many
Sure.
roles, many stories, and much acting. So, wow,
Absolutely.
good
Absolutely.
connection you made there.
So you know what? I mean, if I can say in one sentence, you have lived life large. You have kind of lived life to the fullest, right? You have reinvented yourself many times without, clearly abandoning anything earlier. Uh, but what do you think of your identity today? Or another way, do we become different people over time, or we just kind of figure out more about ourselves? What do you think?
There's a favorite quote from this movie, yours, ours, and mine.
Hmm.
Yours, mine, and ours, I guess, right? Where Robin Williams says, "I don't want to be the best father. I want to be a very good father." I saw this movie, let's say 5 years ago, but I think without my own knowledge, I've somehow adopted that
Mm.
principle early on. So that's kind of defined my identity, right? Uh, I guess what I've enjoyed is that, and to some of the things that you pointed out, right? How do I enjoy theater? Did I enjoy my corporate life? Did I enjoy my gully cricket? Right? When I was in the US, I was a part-time Saturday priest in a temple. Did I enjoy doing that? Right?
Wow.
I think if you want to go out there and do a fun job, do a good job, I think every everything you do can be largely fun. There will be pain, believe me. There'll be some confusion, but largely it'll be fun, enjoyable, and it adds to your identity.
Hmm.
You feel comfortable. You feel you're doing something that's value adding, etc. I think sometimes this pursuit of excellence in one sphere. Obviously, we cannot be. I've not met too many people who've tried to be excellent in too many spheres,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And very
Difficult.
often it is in the sphere of corporate and financial success, right? I think that to some extent, to a large extent, diminishes the quality of our life, right? I think I've kind of had a balance there, and it's been fun. I've not been the best trekker or hiker, but I've had fun trekking and
Hmm.
hiking, right? Just to go back to that Robin Williams statement. I don't think I'm the best actor or director, but I'm good enough, right? And people enjoy it, and I enjoy it. So I think that's kind of a approach that's helpful for me. I don't know how wise it is, but
No, very simple, but also, find happiness in whatever you do, right? I mean, who knows? Yeah, let's come to an important phase, right? Like life after career. And I think you have been able to move from, a career to, make so many changes consciously and, done it so seamlessly. So now, now that you are here and building a meaningful second phase of which we want to call it that, what matters more to you or what matters less to you? Or it's always been the same?
I guess the luxury of today's life, a mature life, a life where we are able to, I'm able to bring my own thoughts and philosophies. The luxury of that is that we've experienced life enough to be able to define what we want to do, what we are doing a little better, little better, and coming purely from our own heart and our own experience, right? Uh, you know, However much I would like to take credit for my successes at the age of 21 or 25, a lot of it was largely directed by my parents,
Mm, mm,
by a friendly, nice cousin, or another friendly uncle, or something like that, right? So whether I was working hard, I was working extra hard, the job changes that I made, all those had influences of a lot of these people and bosses and stuff like that. I think at this stage we have the opportunity to look back at life, the experiences that we've had, and kind of understand what career means, what family means, what
mhm,
fame means,
mhm,
that kind of thing, and then you can really focus on what really matters. And what I've come to think really matters is conversations like this, not necessarily on a electronic Zoom call or anything, but even better if we could be sitting next to each
mhm,
other and
mhm,
talking about trivia, and and then we could come up uh, with a cricket match that we can go watch together, or a play that we can put up or watch together. The theater that we spoke about, it's not something that I actually went out and pursued or anything, right? I was chatting with a friend and he said, I have a small role, maybe you can do it. I know you don't seem very promising, but maybe you can do it, he said. And then I did it, and then somebody else said, I didn't think you do a decent job, but that was good enough for me to offer you this role. So it's,
Wow.
it's about
So
it's about going out there and living it up to those opportunities and stuff like that, right?
never say no to a challenge, right? I think that's another, in
Yeah.
essence.
As long as there's fun to go along with that
Sure.
challenge, and as long as there's a friend who says, "Don't worry, I'll hang out with you when you're going through this," right? I think if there's a friend who can say, "I'll be with you," I think challenges are just excuses for friends to hang out and for us
Mhm.
to take help and seek help and stuff like that. So
Oh, I mean, again, another interesting and lot of things to take away. Let's come to our signature question, right? This is called the 15-year letter. If you could write a
I
short letter to yourself 15 years ago, what would you want that version of you to know?
if I could write a letter to my younger self, I would definitely tell my younger self that, you don't have to angle for that promotion. You don't
Mm,
have to butter up your boss, do all the things extra smart and get that one extra promotion. Because I think at that time it looked like life and death. It looked
sure.
like something to really go after, beat my colleague to that promotion and stuff like that. But at this juncture, when I look back, I might feel that I could have chilled, and had a maybe the promotion would have happened 1 year later, or even 2 years later, but those 2 years would have been that much more full of chats like this, evenings with friends, less competition with colleagues and office mates and stuff like
Mm,
that.
mm.
I think that's something I would tell back, and then just something that's very specific to me, and it might apply to some of the young people out there, is that I was part of a generation where every 3 years somebody was trying to poach us
Mm.
to join another company, and for me it also meant geographic travel, right? Every couple of years I moved from one city to another, etc., right? The travel was fun. I made a lot of friends, but I think a little less, and it was also in a way the flexibility was tied to my, you know, doing everything that my company wanted me to
Yeah,
do from a
yeah.
role perspective. So I guess I traveled a little too much, too many stops. I would probably, I'm sure, and I see this as a little relevant because a lot of us are going through this. We have a lot of young people who
Mm.
are, moving cities, moving jobs, etc. Slow down on that front too. That's something I think if I had done a little more of that, I could have enjoyed, savored the friendships more, etc., etc.
Hmm. Amazing. The final Mojo question, Badri, for someone listening to
Uh,
you to this podcast who kind of feels stuck or unsure about what comes, especially after a long career, and then how do I go to the next phase? What's one small step they can take tomorrow morning?
I have a classmate and colleague, Rajesh Shetty. He was a very successful entrepreneur in the US. He faced some health challenges. In one of the, after those challenges, one of the talks that he was giving, we've heard this many places, but I wanted to give him credit. He said, many of the things we have today were stuff we didn't even dare to dream of 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
For example, some of us are probably in our fifth, sixth car, etc. Right? I'm sure 30 years ago we didn't even dream of having a car, right? So what he was trying to say, and what I kind of it vibed with me is that a lot of what we have today, and it could be as simple as a good friend like you, a good family, uh, children who are healthy, doing well, studying, having fun, and looking at bright careers in the future. A lot of what we have today would have felt like a huge dream and a huge blessing a few years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
even if we are feeling down, if we feel that life has been bad, look around you and you'll see the bounty that's there actually, right? In terms of so many joys, right? You might have lost a job, but then you can reminisce on what was good about it, and then stuff like that. So there's a lot for us to
Mm.
really sit back and enjoy and savor, and we should do that every day. So that's one thing. And of course, I don't want to paint a rosy picture, hunky-dory picture where everybody is doing great, and that's not fair too. All of us have gone through challenges.
Yeah.
If you are going through a challenge, if we ever go through another challenge, right? I think, challenges will come, they have come. Reach out to friends,
Mm.
right? Share, learn. Don't expect too much, but take whatever help you get and tide through those times. Better times will come. At our age, we could even seek some advice from our kids, right? They're 20-ish, but then they think they have tremendous wisdom. So it's about seeking out those friendships, and that's kind of what I'm suggesting. And yeah, that's my thought.
I think it's a very powerful thing that you just said that life is full of abundance and full of opportunities. But whereas somewhere, we're conditioned to see that the resources are always limited and hence we have to fight for it or we have to be one up on the other. It can be right from traffic to standing in lines to fighting for those limited resources, right? But that is the point. Like life is full of opportunities, hope, money. It's just that you have to do the right things to get it done. So, from a feeling of not of lack, but more of abundance, I think that's so
Uh,
much clearer. I mean, it kind of defines your life.
yeah. And talking of abundance, you just showed off your Bangalore side of things. You had to touch upon traffic. You did at the last minute of the conversation.
It's our
Bangalore and
USP.
traffic had
It's
to
our
come up.
USP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It had to come up. It had to come up.
So,
Uh,
Badri, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing your journey so openly. There's a lot here that people can reflect when they listen to this. And to everyone listening, thank you for being part of the Mojo Diaries. If this conversation stayed with you, do share it with someone who might need it. See you in the next one.
Thank you, Ram. You have a great day. You're looking great. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you.